everybody. Welcome back to Labor and Fruits. I'm here with my good friend, Arnetta. She is a postpartum doula and a birth doula. But today, our subject will be on postpartum doula benefits. So I have her here because I wanted to interview her because she's one of the most popular postpartum doulas in our area. And I just want to give her an opportunity to tell us a little bit about herself. So, Arnetta,
Yes.
how long have you been in the doula world, doing doula services?
I have been a birth doula for 24 years, but 21 of those years I was working a full-time job, and I've been a postpartum doula for 3 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, that's awesome. And her business is called Serene Synergistic Doula Services. So if you we'll have all of that information posted after the interview. Okay. Also, let me see. What do you like about being a doula?
Oh my
What
goodness.
called you to this work?
I stumbled into the work. I had no idea what a doula was. I was supporting my friend's minor daughter. Minor daughter had a baby at 14. So I went to the hospital with them, and when we got there, my friend said she wasn't going in with her. I said, well, we can't send a child in by herself.
Mm-hmm.
She said we weren't with her when she got pregnant. So I said, well, I guess I'll go. So then I saw my first birth, and that was in 1984. Yes. And I remember being so excited after the baby was born. I was like, oh, she pooped. The nurse looked at me. She said, that is meconium, their first evacuation. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know what that is, but I know that part of that baby is working. Okay? So in between 84 and 96, I just ended up going to the hospital with all kinds of friends and just because. And then one of my male coworkers asked me why I wasn't a doula. And I'm like, what's that? And he told me, and I did my first training at late 96 and did my first birth as a trained doula February 16th, 1997.
That is an awesome beginning. That's
Yeah.
an awesome story.
It is. I love
Wow.
it. I love it. You know, it's what I love about the work is supporting families.
Okay.
And just being in that sacred space with people when they're going through one of the biggest moments in their lives, you know, and them trusting you to be there with them
Yes.
and to help support them.
Yes.
And with the postpartum work, it's extremely rewarding. I said I didn't want to do postpartum work. Prior to retiring, I wasn't connected with the doula community.
Mm-hmm.
I really got connected after I retired. Well, right before, but still.
So after you retired your full-time job,
Yes.
that's when you got
I
connected.
really got connected to the community, and you know, they would tell you, well, you should train for postpartum. I'm like, I don't want to do that. And then one of the agencies I was with said, well, why don't you just take the training, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, I'm not working overnight. That does not make sense to me. They're like, okay. So I had a birth with one of their clients, and then they called. They really liked you as their birth doula, and they want some overnight. I told you I'm not doing that. Well, that went to, okay, I'll do it. And by the second night, I was like, this is amazing.
Well, getting into that, that's great. Like
Yeah.
getting into that. So what are the benefits of having a postpartum doula?
Well, there's many benefits. New families need just basic reassurance. You know, a lot of times they are doing everything right, but they don't feel confident that they are. So sometimes your presence there, yes, that's fine. You know, you may assist with breastfeeding. You know, days and nights look different. At night, basically, we just take care of the baby and sleep if the baby is asleep.
Mm-hmm.
But during the day, if they have other children, you know, you help with those children. We don't cook or clean, but we might prepare snacks. Some families who have other children may want you to focus on the other children so they can be with the baby, or they may want you to take the baby so they can be with the other children. You know, it looks different in most households, you know, so our job is to really support the entire family and do what you can to help that household run smoothly.
Okay. So with postpartum dueling, basically your presence there, not only your presence, but the services that you provide is basically to encourage them in what they're doing already,
Yes.
as well as show them the way
Yes.
to make things easier for them.
Yes.
Oh,
You know, we support
okay.
what they're doing, but we also, families often ask a lot of questions.
Right.
So your job is to support them and get those questions answered.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's kind of funny because a lot of times we don't look at that part, the postpartum care part.
I know.
We never look at that part when mama is coming from the hospital. How is this going to look when she gets home? Whether it's a first time mom, a second time mom, a
And
third
it
time
doesn't
mom.
matter. 'Cause
It doesn't
everyone's
matter.
different.
Every time is different.
Yep.
You know,
For
if
sure.
we went from handling one baby
Mm-hmm.
to handling two now. You know, or you went from handling no kids and now you're here with this little person
baby.
and you don't know what to do.
Well, you know, and while we're supporting the entire family, we really need to pay attention to that mother, you know, because a lot of times moms are experiencing things that they need help and support with, but sometimes they don't say anything. But
That's
if you ask, they will tell you, and they will tell their doulas things that they will not tell other people.
Speaking of that, there are, you know, when it comes to other family members
Mm-hmm.
outside of the home,
Mm-hmm.
how do you guys deal with that? It could be grandparents that come over and they're kind of, I know a lot of people, how can I put it, a lot of mothers when they come home postpartum, they are exhausted. They did all of that labor,
Yes.
you know, during birth and everything, and now they're exhausted, and all they really want to do is be with baby. And I have a lot of babies as a birth doula. I have a lot of babies that go into what I call it fight or flight.
Yes.
When they get a lot of people around them, they go straight to sleep.
Yep.
Like they're not even trying to hear everybody else, but when they're with their mother, they're a lot more interactive.
Yep.
So I feel that a lot of the American culture today is a lot of people think, well, your mother's instincts is just going to come to you and you don't need any help on handling this baby, but you need help in other ways.
You need a lot of help.
Exactly.
Okay? You need a lot of help.
Like
The
with chores
exhaustion
and things
itself,
like that,
Okay,
right?
the exhaustion alone.
Exactly.
Okay? I
Mhm.
mean, you've carried, you've labored, you've delivered, you're tired, and now you're home with a baby that needs you every 2 hours.
Mhm.
Okay? Fortunately for me, I haven't had a lot of interaction with families. I mean, it's been a very little, and if it was very positive interaction, like
Okay.
families whose parents actually lived out of town and they were there for the birth and a short period after that, and then they were gone. But they were very respectful of what the family was doing and supportive and grateful that their people had support in the home. So that has, and especially now during the virus, for some families, they say it's a good thing because they can tell their family, well, you can't come.
Right, right.
You know, so if it was going to be any tensions or struggles, it's like, well,
you really can't make
you
it
can't
over
come.
here.
I will send you some pictures.
Is that-
Or, you know, sometimes they come to the door
Right.
and see the baby.
Okay.
But personally, I haven't experienced any conflicts with families, especially on overnights.
Mhm.
You know, the person who said, I'm not doing overnights, actually loves overnights, and I prefer overnights to days. Now, I will do day shifts, but normally it's with families that I've worked with overnight and formed a connection. So
Mhm.
then you know, I'll come as long as you want me to.
And speaking of that, I know that there are a lot of mothers and fathers, a lot of families that will hire you after birth.
Mm-hmm.
So you haven't met them, you weren't at their birth or anything like that. So this is your first time meeting them. How exactly do you build a relationship with these people that you just met? They already had a baby. You've never been to their birth before. How do you gain that relationship as opposed to, what's the difference in gaining a relationship with them as opposed to the ones that you have given
Had the
birth
birth
with?
with.
You know.
You know what? I don't think that there's a lot of difference because usually when they hire, they let you know what they need or expecting or want. So then I just discuss those things with them. I usually try to make a visit before time to actually start, you know, so because I need to know the layout of the house. I need to know what your preferences are. Okay, if you're breastfeeding, am I bringing baby to you, or are you pumping and leaving milk for me? You know, just what are you expecting out of this? And then once we discuss it, it usually flows pretty good. You know, I have never had a problem forming a connection. You know, of course, if you have someone that's suffering with some anxiety, struggling with anxiety or something, you know, you just have to pay closer attention, and if she hasn't acknowledged it, find a gentle way to maybe ask or mention, you know, especially if it's starting to look like it could potentially be turning dangerous. You know, you want to make sure that you get her the help that she needs. But most of the mothers that I've had, they had a that had a condition. It was pre-existing. They already knew it. They were open, very open. This is why I'm doing this. Okay.
So and that's important is the communication that they have to be open with you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
It really is, you know. And then so it usually it has flowed well, and we just have to make the adjustments. You know, like often clients will ask, "What is your parenting philosophy?" It's like, we don't have a parenting philosophy for you. We support what your preferences are.
That's right.
You know, we don't bring our agenda into your household, your family, your baby. You know, and they're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. It's like, okay, yes.
Okay, so I hear this question a lot because being a postpartum doula myself, I hear this question a lot, and I just want you to kind of describe it for us.
Okay.
What is the difference between a nanny and a postpartum doula?
Nanny basically takes care of the baby, your child, or children. Postpartum doula support the family to transition to this new addition. Physically, emotionally, we support the entire family, not just only take care of the baby. You know, you pay attention to what's going on with the other family members. If they're children, if there's the dad, the mom, whoever is there, we support the entire family.
So what
not just take care of the baby.
Okay, so I was gonna ask, what does that look like? But that basically says it all.
Yes.
You're not just there for the baby and the mother.
No.
You're made sure that everybody in the household knows that they have a part in this.
Yes.
Okay.
For sure.
Awesome. Okay, so with that being said, one more question. This is my last question, I promise.
No problem.
How old do you think? How long do you think a postpartum doula should be with one child? Say that a mother has her baby and she hires a postpartum doula. How long should the postpartum doula be in effect if we're just trying to be there for transitioning purposes? When exactly what's the time limit? Is there a time limit?
I don't think there is a time limit. I think that is dependent on that family and that doula. Now there are some doulas who I think they do limit how long they stay with a particular child or family. Personally, I don't think that makes sense. If the family needs and wants support, I don't care how long I'm there.
Okay.
No, I don't care how long I'm there. I mean, because the baby, the family, they're still going through different stages, and then once you've established that connection with them, you know how that household runs. So you know, at that point it's more support. You know how everything is going already, so you just go in and do what you do. So I don't think that there should be a limit, but I do know, like I said, I'm on contract with a fellow that's 13 months old.
13 months old.
Yeah, 2 days a week.
Were you with him from birth up until now, or how did that go exactly?
No, he was born, I was not their birth doula.
Okay.
He was 5, I don't know if he was 4 or 5 days old when they called, and there was a consult. So I started when he was 5 days old.
Okay.
So from 5 days till he was, like for 2 months, I did 5 to 6 overnights a week, and then the Rona hit, and then they got nervous, so they were like, we don't want to lose you, I'm not going anywhere. So I was away from them from like March 19th, and they called me back June like 18th, and asked if I was working. I said, I work for your family. So I went back for 9 overnight shifts in 2 weeks to help with sleep training. And then I started doing some days, off and on. And then there was another gap, and now January I went back to the twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays for 5 hours.
Okay, I know I promised one more question, but I
can have as
one
many
more.
as you want.
Okay. How is How did coronavirus affect your business? Did it affect it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because two of the hospitals that were letting us in, that we had most of the births at, were not letting us in, St. Joe's and U of M, for quite a while.
Oh,
And then with postpartum, at that time, the one family that I had, they were uncomfortable, you know, so then I wasn't with them. And then a lot of people were getting inaccurate information because everyone, you know, no one knew what was going on with this. So
right.
One of the agencies that I was with, they stopped postpartum, period. There was no postpartum work at all.
Okay.
So it was probably like a good, I did have some births. They just, but probably a good, well, I was off from March till June from postpartum.
Okay.
And then went back.
Okay.
So there was an impact, but you know, who know what to do with that at that time?
Exactly.
You know, who knew what to do? You know, the family that I was with, the mom was literally crying and saying, "I don't want to lose you. Okay, this is not goodbye."
Right.
Okay. And she was like, "Well, I don't want to offend. You're not offending me. You have to do what you think is best for you and your family. Okay." That's the bottom line.
Exactly, and we support that.
Yes.
100%.
Thank you.
Period.
Okay. Whatever you are comfortable with, then that's what you need to do.
That's right.
You know. Now, was I honored to go back? Of course.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So. You know.
Okay. Well, Arnetta, thank you so much for allowing us to come in your space and to be able to ask you about what it is you're doing to get and for enlightening us on postpartum doula benefits. I want to thank you for that.
And I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay.
No problem. And for those of you that are watching, Arnetta will be one of the doulas that will be on our online seminar during Doula Week, which is in March, the last week of March. And the doula seminar will be on March 26th, Friday, March 26th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There will be at least 4 doulas online on the seminar. So if there's any questions about anything doula related, we will be able to answer it for you. Thank you so much for being with us. You all have a great day.